This episode of Around the Oval is brought to you by Todd Pennington with Renovation Mortgage. Hey, Ohio State fans, Alex Gleitman here, back with another edition of Around the Oval, brought to you by Todd Pennington with Revolution Mortgage. Today, we bring on a man that is deep into his own Thursday bank chat on Buckeye Scoop. We pulled him away just for a little bit, so sorry to all the subscribers listening to this. You're going to have about a 15 to 30 minute delay here, but it's a big weekend for Ohio State coming up next weekend, and a big week before that is June 1st, which is early next week, starts the live period, the end of the extended dead period, which has been since last March. Kids have not been able to take visits. Coaches have not been able to hit the road and evaluate. No camps have been able to be held. Official visits, unofficial visits, anything of the sort. And that all opens up on June 1st. The whole month of June is open. And then there will be a week at the end of July that actually will be open before high school and college camps start. So we bring on Bill Bank Greene to join the show today, talk a little recruiting. Bill, thanks for coming on and taking a break from the chat to join us.
Yeah, man, always good to be with you. Always good to talk OSU recruiting, especially with visits coming up. I mean, I think I'm as excited for these as anyone could be. You know, it's been a long year.
Yeah, it has. And, we've been waiting, chomping at the bit. We launched June 4th of last year.
Right.
And for us, we were expecting to hit the ground running with camp coverage and official visits and stuff like that. And, I think we've done a pretty good job, but it's exciting to be able to get out there. I've been to a couple camps already. I know you guys have been out to see some people, and I don't think we're going to be allowed to go to Ohio State camps as things currently stand. We'll see if that changes with some of the new restrictions being lifted and things like that. But hopefully we could get out to as many camps as possible. But if not, we'll definitely have full coverage on Buckeye Scoop on everything fans need to know about all the recruits, unofficial, official, the workouts, things like that. And before we jump into 2022s and younger who will be taking officials and working out over the next couple of weeks, let's talk about a guy in 2021. That class has been wrapped up pretty good now for, since February, really since December for Ohio State. But there is one big fish out there, and it's a very big fish, the number one overall player in the country, JT Tuimoloau from the Seattle area in the state of Washington, same high school as Guy Scott Jr., obviously very familiar as well with Emeka Egbuka, and Ohio State, led by Ryan Day, Larry Johnson, Brian Hartline, have done a really good job recruiting this kid over the last couple of years. And he's just taken his time. He had a spring football season. He played basketball. And I don't think it was a matter of, kind of being drama led like a Terrell Pryor recruitment might have been. The kid, it's just not that it's not important to him, but it's just, he cared about his basketball team, and then he cared about his football season. And this was, he knew everyone who wanted him would wait. And so he finally is scheduling official visits in June. We have intel that he will be at Ohio State. I believe he arrives on the 17th. I think the official will take place from mostly the 18th and 19th. And then he'll fly out on the 20th. He'll head to Eugene, Oregon to visit the Ducks. Not sure when his other visits to USC and Alabama and Washington, which is the home school, will be, but huge news for Ohio State landing that official visit. And that's kind of the first step toward kind of wrapping things up. So Bill, just wanted your thoughts on JT scheduling that visit to Ohio State and where you think things stand heading into it.
Yeah, to go back to what you said, this is absolutely not a drama queen in any sense of the word. He wants to visit schools before he goes there. And who could blame him for that? That's the way it's been done for the last 50 years. So, he was in a unique position where he could wait. The 3-star kid out of Teaneck, New Jersey, he better sign, not mess around. JT Tuimoloau can wait, and he wants to take these visits. He felt pretty good that there was going to be summer visits, and he was willing to wait to take these summer visits. So I kind of applaud the kid. He's not screwing with anyone. He's not holding out for more drama. He doesn't do interviews. He wants to visit the school before he goes there. So, my God, I think we all can understand that. And he's in a unique position where he can do that. So he is. I think Ohio State's the leader. I think they're the school. To me, everyone I talk to, it makes sense for him. We've listed all these reasons before, from Emeka Egbuka, G. Scott Sr., G. Scott Jr., the familiarity with Hartline and Larry Johnson. They started recruiting him early. Ohio State puts D linemen in the NFL. Washington Huskies do not. Playing in the playoffs, playing in big games, playing alongside great players, going against great players in practice every day. I mean, I think when you add everything up, it just makes so much sense that he ends up at Ohio State. Now, you got to kill that visit. You know what I mean? And please, please, please drop the ridiculous notion that, oh, we have to have the last visit. Bull crap. The last visit means nothing. That's something people used to talk about in the 90s. Like, oh, we got the last visit. Who cares? You know what I mean? You had the last visit for Jason Oweh. How'd that work out for you? You've had a lot of last visits that don't work out. You don't want the last visit, Alex. You want the best visit. And that's how you're going to get this kid. So I think Ohio State's the leader in the clubhouse, and I think they just need to seal the deal. And when you look at their history of a success rate with official visits, it's really good. So I think you add up all the factors. I've got him in the class. I mean, Ohio State is my pick. I've had no reason to come off that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I got Ohio State. I just, anytime Nick Saban gets a kid on campus for 48 hours, because you talk about all the things you just mentioned, the putting the guys in the NFL and winning the championships. And Alabama is really the only school that could sit there and check off all those boxes. And the only thing that would prevent him, if all those things are important for him, to go to Alabama or Ohio State would be, wanting to stay on the West Coast. And I haven't heard that that's a problem for him. So, he wouldn't be visiting Ohio State and Alabama right now if that was a problem for him. Right. And so for me, it's going to come down to the comfort and relationships, two things you always talk about. And I think right now that Larry Johnson and Brian Hartline and Ryan Day have that edge over Alabama. Now, could Nick Saban make him feel certainly more comfortable with putting his future in his hands when he goes to Tuscaloosa? Absolutely. But for me, I'm with you. I have Ohio State as the leader. I don't think it's done and over with. I do think that the visit needs to go according to plan and or better. And he is going to be coming with his parents. So that is big, making the whole family feel comfortable. And I think, as you said, everything you got going, you even want to go with, some of the guys like Haskell Garrett, who come from a very similar heritage and background that are living that success and came from the West Coast as well. There's a lot of things Ohio State can throw at him to make him feel comfortable while he's in Columbus.
Yeah, I agree. They're the leader, and possession 9/10 of the law. I think they've got the possession. They just have to seal the deal with the visit.
Absolutely. And we will be sure to try to be on top of that one. The kid doesn't talk much. I don't know if we're going to be able to get an interview with him after, unless we stalk out the Woody Hayes Athletic Center following his trip. But we'll absolutely pull every string we possibly have to try to get information and put it out on Buckeye Scoop to our subscribers. No doubt about that. Now, outside of JT visiting in mid-June, as we said, starting next week, June 1st, you're going to have there's probably going to be more than that, but there's 3 very big underclassmen from the state of Ohio that are going to be on campus, visiting, working out with the staff. Actually, not all of them may be working out that day. I know that they do plan to maybe a couple of them will be working out. Another one might be working out later in the month, but 3 guys who have been offered early in the 2023 class by Ohio State. Sonny Styles, we'll call him a safety, maybe a linebacker hybrid type of kid that you need in today's game. Josh Padilla, offensive lineman, I think probably an interior offensive lineman at the next level. And then Luke Montgomery, who's a kid who I see as an offensive tackle, but certainly good enough to be able to play on the defensive line as well at the Power 5 level. And these are 3 big visits. These are 3 kids pretty well, being in the state of Ohio. Tell us a little bit about each of these kids and where you think Ohio State stands.
Yeah, Padilla won't surprise me if he commits fairly soon after this visit. I would have him on immediate commitment watch. I think they're going to get him. I think he's a heck of a player. I mean, he kind of came on out of nowhere. I didn't know much about the guy. And one of our subscribers kind of told me, you need to watch this kid's film. And I watched about 2 minutes of it. And it's like, man, who the heck is this kid? And because there were no camps last year, because we didn't get out and go to as many games as we usually do last year, he fell through the cracks, in terms of me. I would have known this kid if there were camps and the usual games last year and everything. And he's definitely OSU quality. So I think they're going to get him fairly soon. I would have him on like real quick commitment watch. Styles, I think they're in great shape. I mean, I really do. I know there are people that feel there's some optimism on the Notre Dame side, and his brother's going there. And boy, you don't usually see families split like this, but the dad played at OSU, and I think Ohio State's done a great job recruiting Sonny. And now I don't think we're going to see a quick commitment out of him. I would not have him on commitment watch. I think he's going to take his visits here, and I think this one could be a slow player, but I like where Ohio State is for Sonny. And then you mentioned Luke Montgomery, and I've seen some, kind of things hinted out there that he could be a quick commitment. And I don't see that happening because I've got his schedule in front of me. And in the month of June, it's OSU, Michigan, Tennessee, Georgia, Auburn, Alabama, Clemson, Oklahoma, back to Ohio State, Notre Dame, and he's even got a Penn State visit planned for late July. So all those trips are planned, they're scheduled, the hotels are booked. So I don't see Luke Montgomery committing anytime soon at all. I do think he's going to be a Buckeye. I think they're going to get him. And, when you start talking Clemson, Alabama, you better recruit him hard. Don't sleep on the fact that he's an Ohio kid. We get all the Ohio kids, and so we'll chase the kids out of Texas and Oklahoma harder. Don't do that. Recruit this kid, as hard as you possibly can. And he's worth it. I mean, he is such a talent. To be able to get an offensive tackle that is an elite basketball player that could play tight end at the college level, obviously could play defensive end at Ohio State too. So to get this type of athlete with his length and the footwork, I mean, recruit him hard and you'll get him.
I agree. And I think with him, we've seen this before. Blake Miller, Jackson Carman, where everyone kind of assumed, oh yeah, great, Ohio State offers, that's done and over. And look at that. Clemson came in and just pulled both of those guys right out from under them. So right, I agree. Right. I do think Ohio State is the school to beat, but you don't handle your business here on these visits and in recruiting him properly. He's going to be seen a lot of places that are going to be on him hard. So
he's going to visit the best. He's going to visit the best of the best. So,
no doubt. And I think they know Sonny Styles is one that they have, he views Ohio State differently than Lorenzo did, I think, off the jump, but they know they're going to have to fight for that one for sure. I hope they know that they have to fight for Luke Montgomery too, because those guys and Vernon are probably the three best players in the state, and pick your order of them however you want, probably. So
no doubt.
They got to get those guys. Now, last thing we'll touch on, Ohio State is hosting their first official visit weekend, June 4th through 6th. A lot of the commitments in the class, not all of them, but a lot of them will be in town. One thing I'll be watching for sure is to see if Jair Brown comes in. That will be probably the one to watch for sure.
No doubt.
But they're also going to be hosting, I think I got my count. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, at least 9 other players, 7 of them 4 stars, 2 of them 5 stars. We'll run down the list right here. Omari Abor from Texas, 5-star defensive end, 5-star offensive lineman Zach Rice from Virginia, 4-star offensive lineman Emil Wagner from Ohio, 4-star offensive lineman George Fitzpatrick from Colorado, 4-star defensive tackle Curtis Perry from, I believe, Alabama, 4-star defensive tackle Dominic James, also from Alabama, but goes to IMG Academy, 4-star cornerback Toriano Pride from St. Louis, 4-star safety Xavier Wankpa from Iowa, and 4-star safety Zion Branch from Bishop Gorman in Las Vegas. Now that's a list right there.
Amazing.
And when you hold these kids out of visits for a year, I mean, that's going to happen, right? Every weekend is probably going to be a massive visit weekend. But I wanted your take. I mean, we could go. I don't want to go down these guys one by one, but looking at that list right there, where do you see Ohio State in good shape, and where do you see guys that are just visiting to get that experience, they don't really have a shot, and where maybe do you see some guys that they have a chance to make a move with?
Yeah, I wouldn't really say anybody's on that list that they have no shot with, other than maybe Curtis Perry. Good luck. He's coming. That's half the battle, but I wish you the best there. Nwankpa is really interesting to me because I think they've done such a great job recruiting him. And when you look at, Kerry Combs doing the recruiting, he's good as there is. If Kerry's doing the recruiting, you got a shot. You got a great shot. And I think the kid loves Ohio State. And I see him as such a fit for Ohio State. And sometimes you look at kids and they really don't fit the school that they're visiting, even though great school, great kid, but it's not always a marriage. That one is. Nwankpa is, he's a more athletic, a faster Jordan Fuller. And you take another one of those right now. So I really like where they're positioned there. I like where they're positioned for Emil Wagner. I do think Notre Dame is a, worthy opponent here. Zach Rice, I'm not feeling it, but I wouldn't shut the door on it either. So those are, Amari Abor, I think that thing has turned totally to Ohio State, where 6 weeks ago, I think I did have him on my list as either no chance or unlikely. And I think today I would have him as probably. I would have him probably or possibly plus, however you want to say it in my stupid rankings. They got a great shot at that kid and they would love to have him. So those would be the ones you mentioned here. Toriano Pride, I don't think they're getting him. You want him? Heck yes. You gonna fight for him? Yeah. Zion Branch, I think, stays out west, but you're gonna fight that one to the death too. So these are all, the guys you mentioned, these are big time kids. And you're gonna fight. Fight. All you got to fight to get these guys. So they're set up well. This is going to be another top 5 class, maybe better. And, the fact that they're back and allowing the official visits again, and that is so huge for Ohio State because they're so good at them. The success rate is so huge. And I think it only ups the ante, and you can say that the field's level because everybody's given official visits. I don't care. I think Ohio State is better when the field is level, giving official visits, than when the field is level when nobody's conducting visits. So this is a plus for Ohio State.
Yeah, I agree. I think almost everything you said I agree with. I think Zach Rice probably headed to either Notre Dame, Alabama, North Carolina, something like that.
Could be Carolina. Don't sleep on Carolina for Zach Rice. I know people laugh at that, but they're in good shape.
They've done a good job. And maybe we're surprised by the George Fitzpatrick kid out of Colorado. Who knows? He's a tackle body. And I just, I don't know. I'm not seeing that one just from what I've heard. I haven't heard too much on him. And then I think Curtis Perry, I agree with you. Probably no chance. Dominic James, I think there's maybe a better chance than I originally thought. Maybe. Is he the guy they want? They probably have to decide that. They got a few defensive tackles visiting over the month of June, and they got to make a push for a couple of them. And then I agree with you, Toriano Pride. I think he's going to Clemson.
Yeah.
I think Nwankpa's he's looking good. I think, Texas A&M might be right there and Notre Dame's right there, but I think Ohio State is looking good. And I'll say Zion Branch, I do think he's going to stay out west, but from people I've spoken to, both the kid and people around him, and even people within Ohio State, I think they got a better chance than most people think for him. I think he's a business decision type of kid, and he could have went anywhere this first weekend, and he's coming to Ohio State. So I don't think that's an accident. I know he talks to the other commits and things like that. So we'll see what happens there. Keon Gray's out in Arizona has been on him pretty hard for sure. So we'll see how the visit goes. I think that will tell us a lot, but I do think he'll stay out west. And Abor, I agree, trending toward Ohio State. The one guy I wanted to touch on a little bit more before we let you go is Emil Wagner.
Yeah.
I think when he got offered, everyone was kind of like, okay, that's it. That's done. Ohio State's pulled tons of kids from Wayne and things like that over the years. But I know recently you posted on the board that you're hearing that may not exactly be the case. Tell us a little bit about that.
Notre Dame is, the kid is an academic kid. Okay. High academic kid that puts Notre Dame in the door. And then, the Notre Dame puts O-linemen in the NFL, just like Ohio State does, maybe better than Ohio State when you look at first-round picks. They're in the playoffs. They win big games. They play a great schedule. So you're getting the same thing there. And then you look at who's recruiting him. You're going to have the extra recruiters there. You get the O-line coach for sure, Jeff Quinn. He's really good. But then you got Marcus Freeman and Mike Mickens. Marcus D coordinator, Mickens defensive back coach. But those are Those are Huber Heights Wayne legends. Those guys are beloved in that high school. They played there. They're great guys. So, this is not a typical recruitment like if Ohio State was going against, I don't know, pick the team. There's a real chance for Notre Dame here. I think Emil really likes Ohio State. I think they're in a really good spot for him, but this would not be the typical Ohio kid that gets the Ohio State offer and he falls on the ground and, just can't wait to take it. That's not the case here. I think they can get him, but I don't think it's a slam dunk. And I think Notre Dame has some cards that they can play here, especially Mickens and Marcus Freeman being at Notre Dame. And those guys inside the halls of Huber Heights Wayne, they're legends. So this is not to be taken for granted.
Yeah, I know some people have thrown Kentucky in the mix there as well, and as we've learned, they can't be ignored, especially Vince Marrow being involved. But I tend to think, Ohio State, Notre Dame, it's probably one of those. Now, my question is, do you think there's any chance Ohio State can wrap him up next weekend, or do you think he's visiting Notre Dame no matter what?
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. I really haven't dug into that yet. I think this one's probably going to go a while just because of the nature of the guys that are recruiting him. I think he would, want to get back. And you can tell already that he's not looking to make a quick decision, or he would have done it. So no, I don't think I wouldn't have him on a commitment watch, but he's one that once that visit's over, you and Mark and Mick and myself, we need to start digging in on all our sources just to see how that thing went, So, and maybe Ohio State does lock it up on that visit. Maybe they answer every question, kid and mom and dad, they fall in love with the place. And it's like, man, get this over with. So we'll see. But I think Notre Dame is a threat here.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be interesting. And I'm just really excited. We got these kids visiting again and we get to cover it. It's going to be awesome. We're going to be busy, but that's why we, this is kind of the part of the job we like. So we're going to dig in. We're going to get as deep as we can, and we're going to give some great information out on the scoop. But Bill, we're going to let you go back to the chat. Thanks for taking a break and joining us. We'll definitely have to do it again soon.
All right, bro. Anytime.
This episode of Around the Oval was brought to you by Todd Pennington with Renovation Mortgage. If you've been thinking about refinancing or buying a house, check out our sponsor, Todd Pennington with Renovation Mortgage. They offer low rates for refinancing and home purchase loans, including first-time home buyer programs, down payment assistance, and cash-out home equity loans. Check out revolutionmortgage.com/tpennington.